Thank you, Tony, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, I have not met everybody in SADA. It has grown. I work in marketing department with Noreen, head up digital marketing with a little team. So some have met me, some have probably know that I'm quite opinionated and everything like that. And yes, this is a topic close to my heart. And I kind of do give a little bit of a background in it to kind of give some context and everything like that. But what I will say is when I was asked, I was honored and I am grateful for the opportunity. What I didn't realize is I didn't realize the journey it would take me on. And it did. It took me on a very long and emotional journey. And I hope I can get through this strongly. So I was asked, the simple task was, Pride is starting. Let's give people a little bit of view of the origin of Pride and what it stands for. All right. And I set out on my little journey to kind of discover that. For most people, you'll know that in 1969, there were the Stonewall Inn riots, which was a raid on a prominently gay establishment in New York. But this wasn't the first kind of raid, but this was the first time where the gays of the LGBTQ community really fought back. They said enough was enough. And a few months ensued. There were riots. They calmed down. But coming out of it, there was one particular activist. There were many activists, and there were many theories that you'll read about this. But there was a lady called Brenda Howard, a bisexual woman who decided, no, this is enough. And while kind of demeanor in a way, she was very outspoken. But most kind of research and everything like this calls her the mother of Pride because she helped organize the Christopher Street Gay Liberation Day March parade in 1970, a year after the Stonewall riots, to commemorate that. To their surprise, they got so much support. And so this is where the Pride Parade started. But the word pride itself didn't really start until about the 80s, right? In the 70s and the early 80s, these parades were a lot more about hardline activism, fighting for rights and everything like that. But in the 80s, it started to shift over to kind of activism, to celebration, right? A celebration of queer culture. And as you can see, it is kind of become very localized. It's a very localized theme. It's run by cities. If you go look pride.org or pride.com, there is no central organization. So when I kind of wanted to go look and say, okay, what does Pride stand for? There was nothing. There are theories and people write about it, but there isn't a central organization that turns around and says, we chose Pride for this, which felt, okay, in true SADAian nature, I'm going to be one step ahead. I am going to try and define it from my view, my experience. But the question is, where do I come from and how can I have a perspective on this? So before I get this, I kind of would like to take you a little bit on a tour of my history. This is me in Lake Malawi, which is in East Africa, where I very much grew up. My family say I look like Judi Dench. They're right. And I grew up very much in Malawi, my first years of my life. I would have been a baby running around the bush in the diapers. But as I got older and I started to get to the school age, I moved to South Africa, right? And became part of the apartheid system, right? Shoot on to 1990, everybody knows Mandela was released. And that was the start of the end of apartheid. And I was the year that I closed the door on apartheid, if I can say so. The year that I graduated was the last year schools were all white. The year I went to the army was the year that army was still mandatory for white men. The year after that, it was voluntary for all, right? And so it continued in 1994. We had free elections, peaceful elections to a degree, but peaceful. And we became known as a Rainbow Nation. In 2000, I kind of decided, well, let me go see my motherland, and I moved to England. And that is where I came to myself, where I came out, dealt with my sexuality, discovered a new me. But also this 2000s were about the Iraq War. And my best friend in the UK was Fawad. He was from Pakistan, born in Lahore, but grew up in England and met many nights over tea talking about war, Muslim issues, Western issues, and all that kind of stuff. But fast forward, I got tired of the weather. I moved to LA in 2000. And today, this is my world. This is my life. This is my husband, Cliff, for 5 years. He's from New York. There's Cujo. She's not a monstrous eating Saint Bernard. I did not name her, but she's the most adorable thing. And then Rocket on the right, and I just call him the monstrosity. But this is my world. This is my life. So if I can bring this back, you can see that I have probably been on both sides of these lines, of these struggles. And I've been around it, like I said, on both sides. So when I thought about pride, I thought, okay, how do I explain pride? Didn't take me long, because the reason why pride is chosen, and while people might say it's just luck, I think it might be divine intervention, because the opposite of pride is shame, right? You don't have to be a marginalized group to understand shame. We've all felt shame. We've all been ashamed about something. And, you know, that saying, I just wish that the world would open up and swallow me whole. We all understand that. Take that feeling and make that your daily existence. Every day you walk out, you feel shamed. It is used as a tool against you. It is used to persecute. It is used to discriminate. It is one of the worst feelings in the world, and nobody wants to feel it. But we do know that shame changes, and sometimes that shame shifts from the one group to the other. I can call on my hero, Abraham Lincoln, who says, you know, those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. And under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. And when I read this, I could not get past this word retain, retention, retain. What is this? And I started to sort of think to myself, let's kind of look at the numbers of this, right? And I might be taking some creative liberties over here and everything like this, but I think for the purpose of this, it does make sense. If we kind of think about LGBTQ discrimination, starting in the Stonewall riots, which was not the first of the discrimination, to 2015 was 46 years. Apartheid was 46 years, from the development of the law and everything like this until the free elections in 1994, it was 46 years. But as Tony said, today is Juneteenth. And if we start to look at that retention of this oppression, and I specifically use the words discrimination and oppression differently here between the LGBTQ community and the African American community, one has to really ask, what is it going to take to heal these wounds? South Africa is a country, America is 10 times the size of South Africa, and the scar is 10 times longer, as you can see. But change does happen, right? And my other hero, Mandela, when he said one of the most difficult things to change in society is not to change society, but it's to change yourself, right? And it does come to us. And as Tony said, in the times we find ourselves, we will all be heavily reflecting, and we will all have very different views and positions. And by default, sometimes we find ourselves in these positions on these things, but we do need to start to reflect on that. Because when I come and think about it, what pride really means and what it really stands for is free to be. Free of shame, free to be who you are, free to be a valuable citizen that adds to the community and everything like this. But while pride might have been born out of the gay community or the LGBTQ community, it stands for all of us, because some of us in somehow have been shamed. We are persecuted, we are discriminated in somehow or in everything like that. So pride doesn't just stand for the LGBTQ community. It's not just a celebration of queer culture and everything like this. It is very important to us all. And in closing, I'm going to close with a little bit of numbers, because the other thing about me is I'm a huge fan of numerology and everything like this. 46 is the number that this journey took me to. The years, it's even in Mandela's prison number. The sum of 46 is 10. 10 is really the scale of what we are facing as a society and some of these problems that we have to overcome. Because apartheid did not end in 1994. The end began in 1994. These wounds don't just close up. They've got to be healed, right? The sum of 1 and 0 is 1. And that is the solution, right? As individuals, as ourselves, we all play a role in where this world goes, but also as one race, as one human race. For me, that is what pride stands for. Thank you for listening.